Hi friends, it's Mr. Jamie, and we're going to be joined here in a minute with Mr. Adam and Mr. John. Today we're going to do another STEAM video with you guys, and today's is going to be called Tensegrity. And it's pretty fun. We're going to go through a little bit of background, and then we're actually going to show you how you can build something like this at home with Legos. You could also use popsicle sticks or building blocks or things like that, and some string. So it's pretty easy to make and actually pretty cool. So let's get started. So before we get started, I wanted to go over a few definitions with you guys. Tensegrity is actually a word used to describe a structure, which is like a building or a chair or a table that is made from a group of components held together using compression and tension, which we'll talk about here in a moment. The structure is usually made of cables and wires or ropes as the main supports. So when we show you guys some pictures, you're probably going to have seen something like this before. Now, a few of the terms we want to talk about. Force is any interaction between objects, and I think we've talked about this in a few other experiments with catapults, when you can have some force turning something into energy and throwing it. We've also talked about it with some gravity in some previous experiments. Now, there's two types of forces that we're going to look at today. One of the forces, the main one, is tension. So that is a force that stretches something. So if you think of if you have a rubber band, as you start to pull the rubber band apart, it starts to get really tight, and you can feel that it's starting to pull against your fingers. That's tension. Now, compression is a force that squeezes something together. So if you think of if you have a spring and you try to push it down, it's trying to push your fingers apart. So when you push the spring down, you're actually compressing it, and you're feeling the compression force try to push back. We do have a center of gravity. So that's the point where the weight of an object is equal on all sides, meaning it is balanced. So the center of gravity, if you think of, if you stand up really, really tall and someone tries to push you over, you can fall over pretty easily because your center of gravity is very high. If you're very, very low and someone tries to push you over, it's a little bit harder because your gravity is closer to the ground and you're a bit more balanced. And then equilibrium is when the forces are all equal. So we'll talk about that, the tension and compression forces being equal to hold something together. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to build a tensegrity structure out of some Legos. And it's going to look a little bit like this. So what we have here is you've got one piece here that's hanging and one piece that's on the ground. And you can see there's a little piece of string here in the middle, and there's some strings here over on the side that are connecting the top and the bottom. So what we do here is first we're going to build our Lego pieces, and we're going to show you how to do that momentarily. And when you put them together, you hang a string in the middle, and that is going to put some tension there because gravity is going to try to pull the top piece down. And when it does that, because you have this string here, gravity actually wants to pull this piece down and kind of rotate it sideways. And that's because its center of gravity is really far over on the left side. So when gravity pulls it, the whole piece wants to spin. Now, to prevent that and keep it from falling to the ground, we're going to attach some strings over on the side here. And what those strings are going to do is, as the top piece wants to kind of fall backward and this piece wants to pull away, these strings are going to hold it in place there. So these strings are going to have tension connecting the top piece to the bottom piece, and that again is going to prevent the forces of gravity from pulling it too far to the ground. Now what this is going to do is it's going to look a little weird at first, because you're going to see these Legos that look like they're just being held up by strings and they're holding themselves up. But it's actually going to be pretty cool, because when you finally get it balanced and you get to that point of equilibrium, and if you remember, equilibrium is when all the forces are equal, this thing is going to stand up all by itself. So it's going to be pretty fun. Now, what I wanted to do is show you some examples of some other tensegrity structures that exist to give you a better idea how some of them look. This one here was actually just made out of popsicle sticks and string, which I'll send a link for a video for that as well. In case you don't have Legos at home, you can try this with popsicle sticks and do the same thing. This one here was made out of some cardboard, so it is very light. And you can see some examples of a person making a chair out of it. And this, it looks kind of weird here that it looks like it's just being held up by strings, but someone's sitting in it and they're not falling over. There's an example of a table that is held up with chains here, you can see. And then here's a little Lego guy that we found for you guys. So what we're going to do here, with the help of Mr. Adam and Mr. John, we're actually going to build one of these Lego Tensegrity structures. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's go check it out. We're going to get all our Legos ready, and we're about to have some fun. Talk to you guys in a minute.
Hi friends, this is Mr. Adam.
Hi friends, this is Mr. John. So we have our Tensegrity structure here. We've used some Legos and some yarn here. So what we have here is the top part of our structure. And you can see we built it here. The top part is a little bit longer than the bottom part here. And we're going to look for the center of gravity to see where the weight goes and the forces are applied. So if we put our finger here, you can see that we're still moving. If we go a little further over, it's still falling over. So if we have a light hold right here, you can see that it's pretty balanced. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our base here, and we're going to take our string, and we're going to place it right here. And then we're going to take the bottom part of our top piece and place it into the string. So if you see right now, if I release this, our center of gravity is over here, and our tension forces are up and down here. So that's because our center of gravity is not even, it's going to cause this whole piece to swing. So I'm going to let go, and you see it falls.
Oh no!
So we don't want that. So we need to find another way to make the forces get into an equilibrium so that this stands up. And Adam's going to show you how to do that.
So, looking at the base here, we want to make sure, again, like Mr. John had said, that this arm is bigger than this arm down here. And once we apply these two strings as such, and apply some more tension to this structure, we can then play with it, and it all balances out.
So as you can see, friends, these forces are all in equilibrium. Now, if we poke it, it's going to want to move a little bit, because at that point you're applying a force to the side, and it's going to try to reach that equilibrium again. Remember, equilibrium is when all forces are equal. So you can see pretty well that, it very much wants to hold itself up. I'm pushing on the top, and it's holding itself up, and it's looking pretty good. So you guys can do this at home with Legos and yarn, and I'm also going to put a link in the YouTube video description of a way to do this with popsicle sticks and string as well. So if you don't have Legos at home, you'll still be able to do it. So thanks for joining us, friends. We hope you had fun, and this was a little lesson on Tensegrity structures. We'll see you next time.